Once there was a woman named Naomi. She lived with her husband and 2 sons in Bethlehem in Judah during the time when judges ruled. But a famine came. Naomi's husband worried that life would be too hard in Judah. So the family moved to Moab. The other people in Moab did not follow the true God. Naomi's sons married women from Moab, even though God had warned them not to do that. God knew that would make it harder to do the right thing. One of the wives was named Ruth. She looked up to her mother-in-law, Naomi. The other son's wife was named Orpah. Sadly, Naomi's husband died. Then both her sons died too. Naomi, Ruth and Orpah were left alone. Naomi heard that God had blessed Judah. There was enough food again. So she decided to go back. Ruth and Orpah wanted to go with her. But Naomi said no, they should go back to where they grew up. Orpah kissed Naomi goodbye and went back to Moab. But Ruth would not let go. She promised to stay with her mother-in-law no matter what. Ruth loved and respected Naomi that much. So they went on together to Judah. The farmers were harvesting barley. Barley is good to eat and used to make bread. But farmers who followed God's law were careful not to take all the barley. They left some behind for poor people like Naomi and Ruth. Ruth went out to pick up the barley they left behind in a large field. The field belonged to a man named Boaz who was very good and very rich. Then Boaz saw Ruth. "Who is that young woman?" he asked. "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi. She asked nicely for permission to glean this morning. She has been out here working hard ever since. She only took a little break." Boaz walked up to Ruth. He said she was welcome to glean from his fields every day. He also promised that the young men would not bother her. If she ever got thirsty, she should ask one of them for a drink. "I have heard the whole story of everything you did for Naomi after your husband's death. You left your father, mother and everything you knew. Then you bravely came to a place where you did not know anyone." Then Boaz made a beautiful picture with his words, "May the God of Israel reward you. You have come under his wings for safety." Boaz made sure she had something to eat at mealtime. She saved some to take to Naomi. He also told his reapers to let barley fall for Ruth on purpose so she would have even more. Naomi could tell that someone had been really kind to Ruth. When Ruth told her all about him, Naomi was very thankful. She realized that God was still looking out for them. "Boaz is a close relative of my husband," Naomi said. "You should go to his field every day of the harvest," as he said. So Ruth did. Boaz was a good man. Naomi hoped that he would marry Ruth like the law said to. If he did, he could buy back the land that Naomi's husband had sold. Naomi and Ruth would not have to worry anymore. So Naomi gave Ruth careful instructions. Boaz would be at the threshing floor, separating the grain they could eat from the husks and stalks. He would spend the night there, probably to protect the grain from thieves. Ruth should wear her best clothes to the threshing floor and hide until Boaz fell asleep. Next, Ruth should turn over the hem of his long robe so that his feet were uncovered. Then, she should lie down at his feet. Ruth did exactly that. Boaz woke up. Maybe his feet were cold and he wanted to tuck them back under the wings of his robe. He saw someone lying at his feet the way a servant would. But there had not been a servant there when he went to sleep. "Who are you?" Boaz said. She answered, "I am Ruth your servant. Take your servant under your wing, because you are a close relative." Ruth was asking Boaz to marry her. Boaz was impressed. Ruth stayed there at his feet until early morning, before it was light. Then she went back to Naomi. But Boaz would not let her go without a gift for Naomi. He gave her 6 ephahs of barley. Now Boaz had the right to marry Ruth, as other relatives did not want to marry Ruth. So he did. God blessed them with a baby boy named Obed. God was working with the family in a special way. Obed became the grandfather of King David. Many generations later, Jesus Christ would be born as part of this family line.